Well, the National Prosecuting Authority spokesperson Advocate Mthunzi Maga, speaking in Bloemfontein today, said that they will now study Judge Lobsha's judgment. And let's speak to the Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubayi about this latest defeat by the National Prosecuting Authority in the Cholota extradition. Minister, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for being with us on SABC News. So this is just the latest, right, in a string of very public defeats for the NPA when you consider what happened in the Omotosho matter and this one. And it's left many South Africans wondering what on earth is going on at the National Prosecuting Authority.
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers, SABC viewers. I think the Cholota court judgment, it is something that is concerning, but I don't think it is fair to say all the cases, because you've not listed other cases. You'd have noted that I have presented even on the issues of GBV, about 6 cases in the last 5 days that have gone very well, that we've even secured as the justice system convictions. But on this one, what worries me more, it's the issues around extradition. You would have noted that the judge spoke about the executive authority in terms of the process, and the law talks about the executive authority being the one that issues the request for extradition. Now, when we look at the matter and how it has happened and the reasons that are there, what is concerning is around the linkage of what we call the Schultz judgment in the SCA, that would have found that previously in the portfolio, the NPA and other officials like the Director General will be the ones that signs in terms of the request for extradition instead of the minister, who is the executive authority. In light of that, I have instructed the NPA and the department to, within 2 weeks, give me all the extradition requests that has been sent across, both in receiving and out, that were not signed and authorized by the minister at that time, for me to rectify this so that we do not have the same challenge in terms of cases that are before court, in terms of cases that we are trying to extradite other people, so that we can ensure, and I can assure you that since I arrived in the portfolio, all extraditions have been signed by me, and therefore the issue, you note that there's a constitutional court matter that the NPA is trying to go to the constitutional matter to say the Schultz judgment as per the SCA, it shouldn't be retrospective because it has implication and consequences. So this judgment, it is worrying. We are studying, and NPA has committed to looking at other issues that are beyond minister's responsibility. So
what is troubling here is that the National Prosecuting Authority, which is supposed to maintain the very highest standards of honesty, truthfulness, lawfulness, is basically being accused of misleading its counterparts in the United States, so ultimately lying to the agencies of another country. Who will bear responsibility for that? Because whatever an appeal process that may come, that in and of its own does not reflect well on the NPA.
Look, this afternoon I convened an urgent meeting with the team in the department and NPA team. And one of the issues that I wanted to understand was this, and we've asked them again to go back and read the judgment because the judgment was not yet available. In their understanding, the team indicates that the judge was reflecting on the claims by the legal representative for Cholota, but we'll look into it. But what we are dealing with here, and what I've called for review, it's all documentation that were used. Because at the time, remember, in terms of extradition, it must be that you are extraditing on the basis of a person facing a court challenge. And then we were asking them about the issue of her being a flight risk in terms of that. So we're looking at all those issues. I think as they pronounce on the way forward, we have expressed that they need to pronounce on this pronouncement by the judge, because the team seem to disagree with what is in the public domain to say, this is what the judge has said. They say that the argument from their side is that the judgment has been based on Schultz in terms of extradition and the powers that relates to the minister and that of the NPA. And that's why we are rectifying. I think as we go over within, as part of the judgment being written, reading through what is written, I think the NPA will be obligated to pronounce publicly the way forward and what this is implicated. From my side as the minister, I have emphasized the need for NPA to look at all the cases that we have before the court, to ensure that we have management of those courts, of those cases, but also to ensure that the successful prosecution. Because I am concerned that we can't continue to have cases before the court because we are not evaluated as a portfolio for enrollment of cases, but we are evaluated on the basis of successful prosecution.
So on that note, Minister, it's one thing to say the case is not a full picture view, if you will, of the functioning of the National Prosecuting Authority. But the challenge here is that in terms of profile and what is covered in the news, the NPA has had these defeats, right? And what is now, at least on two cases, where basically in the Mamoloko case, the judge stopped short of saying the prosecutors were incompetent in his scathing assessment of how they prosecuted the matter. You've got this one here, where basically the judge told a person who the state was hoping would even be a key witness in a massive corruption story that you can walk free because the NPA did not bring you back to South Africa in a lawful manner, essentially. So that influences the way in which the public views the NPA, even if it's not what's happening in majority of cases. So does that then add credence to those who are questioning the strength of the leadership of the NPA, especially the National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batoyi? You've heard even calls for her to resign, to go, people saying she's been ineffective.
Look, the issue in terms of work has to be done. In terms of strengthening the capacity at NPA, you'd know that we have vacancies that exist that we'll have to fill so that we can be able to look at, and quite a number of leadership within NPA will be going on retirement. So I have committed myself as the leader in the portfolio executive authority to working and supporting the president to ensure that we make appointments that will be able to close the gap that exists and address the challenges that the public is raising.
Do you think Shamila Batoyi is fit for purpose as National Director of Public Prosecutions?
I think that question is not correct and it shouldn't be asked to me. I have a responsibility. If I make a comment on that, I will be illegal in terms of my action.
Do you worry, though, based on what we've heard from the High Court in Bloemfontein today, do you worry about the still pending extradition cases, Nandi Pamakutumana, Shepherd Bushiri, also high-profile matters? In the Mamoloko matter, the NPA has not ruled out whether it will seek his extradition if its appeal is successful. Are you worried that it will be able to run those processes in a manner that is convincing to the courts?
Definitely, I am worried, and that's why I say that I've given them 2 weeks to bring all the extradition cases in front of me to be able to look at them and ensure that they comply with the law. So that I will be doing in the next 2 weeks. I've asked the department and the legal team that supports me, that does my legal work within the Department of Justice. I've asked the NPA to submit to them all the extradition cases that are running, both that are before court or that have made applications, to review them all independently together with the team that will support me to be able to write to those and notify. Remember, in terms of the law, when there's a judgment, for example, the SCA judgment that has been issued previously on the extradition matters, what is required is that we must bring that to the attention of the judges in terms of South African law. So we'll apply that retrospective, we'll apply that in terms of other cases. But I must say that I have already last month, in the month of May, submitted 2 pieces of legislation to Cabinet for approvals, which have been approved and are going to Parliament to review the legal framework of extraditions in the country. So that also closes the gap that has been existing. And we're looking forward to Parliament assisting us in passing those legislation.
Thank you very much, Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubayi, speaking to us on The Full View.